40.
Or listen on the Sactown Sports app.
We're about to do something, Drapes. I don't think we've ever done it before on this show. You know, yesterday we talked to Maxime Reynaud from Stanford. We have another Stanford grad joining us today. How about that? He's written 8 books, including the biography of John Elway. He's a Pro Football Hall of Fame selector, outstanding sports investigative journalist, also writing about football for 33rd Team. That's at 33rd Team FB. Jason Cole with us. How are you today, Jason?
I am fantastic. What's going on?
Well, we're hoping you can tell us. We appreciate your time very much. We've spent a good chunk of the show today trying to figure out whether 49er fans should be thrilled to be 3-1 or terrified of the Rams and Bucks coming up with all these injuries. What advice would you have for them, Jason?
Both can work.
Yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, if you said before the season started that you were going to be playing Mac Jones in 2 of your first 4 games and that you would have a game where you had 4 turnovers and a punt return against you and you managed to go 3-1 through that stretch, wouldn't you be happy?
Sure.
Now, I would say that the 4 turnovers and the punt return for a touchdown, I mean, you're just not going to win games when you do that. So you can be upset about the fact that that happened and the fact that the 49ers special teams, despite the fact that they've got a new special teams assistant coach in Brant Boyer, continue to make the same mistakes. But, you know, the game was close. They should have won. If you take that one play away from it, they probably win the game. And if you take one of the turnovers away, they probably win the game. I mean, that's not reality. But if you eliminate the point is, if you eliminate mistakes, it could be 4-0. So they're a lot closer to 4-0 despite these circumstances, and especially with the injuries, than they are to say 1-3. So I like that. But yeah, they're not as good right now as the Bucks or the Rams. But it's also, I mean, we're so early in the season. I mean, teams change so much. You know, the 17th game, I thought it was only going to be like a little bit of an increase in terms of the volatility of teams. It's a staggering increase in terms of the volatility of teams. Yeah, it really is, because I think that teams are so careful in training camp now because of the perception of 17 games. I think they're far more careful than they ever were before when it was 16. And even though it's only one more game, and I don't have any evidence to quantify this, so it's just my perception.
Sure.
But I think that teams are so much more careful than they ever have been in the training camp preseason, that you don't get very sharp football for the first 4 games of the season. It's one of the reasons that Baltimore has played so poorly in the first 4 games of the season, in my view.
We got Jason Cole joining us. Jason, you talked about, you know, maybe they're not so good right now. You know, I'm looking at CMC, Christian McCaffrey, averaged 2.9 yards per carry this last game. How come they haven't been able to unlock that running game, do you think?
Well, they're not. I mean, people know how to attack what they do. You know, they're not the most stout line in the world, and Trent is, you know, a year older. So I think that they haven't really figured out what they are. The other side is you got Mac Jones in there. So teams are going to say, you know, for 2 of those games, you know, let's see what Mac Jones can do. We're going to force him to beat us.
Yeah.
And to make some plays. So we're going to load up and take away whatever running game you have. We're not going to allow you to go up and down the field on us at all. So some of that is circumstance in the first 2 games. Some of it is they're not playing all that well yet. Again, I think that when teams don't hit and when they preserve their older veterans, you don't get a very sharp product in the first 4 games. Because nobody's really worried about the first 4 games. It's sort of treated like extended preseason. I mean, I don't know if it's 4 games, but it's certainly 2 games that people are treating like preseason a little bit in terms of let's get ready to hit using the regular season. They used to get ready to hit using training camp. And so I don't know that you've seen a final version of what the 49ers are yet, but I think that all things considered, it's a pretty promising start.
Jason Cole, nice enough to join us, outstanding author. Also, went to Stanford, as I said, graduate of Stanford, and has served as an adjunct professor in the journalism department at the University of Florida.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
All right.
Jason, now we're the home of the 49ers, but Kyle Draper is from Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So, bless him. He's a big Eagles fan. He is not shy about letting us know how the Eagles are playing. All that said, and I know they're the defending champions and they're undefeated. Do you think he should be at all concerned with the Jekyll and Hyde nature of the Eagles' offense to this point?
I wouldn't be too worried about the offense. I'd be more concerned about the defense.
Oh, okay.
I think that they're not. Look, when Jalen Carter is your guy who everything spins off of, and basically the guy who stirs the drink on your defense, you are sort of subject to his whims. And he's a guy who sometimes wants to be there and wants to embarrass other opponents and just destroy them. And sometimes he's kind of lost in outer space, in a in kind of a really negative way, in a way that I think brings the rest of your team down. So he's kind of the weather vane of their defense. And I think that they used to have guys who were more mature that they could lean on, in terms of how they, the guys that they responded to. You had Fletcher Cox before. You had a guy like Jason Kelsey before. Those are guys those were the weather vanes before, and they could steady the ship, and they could be the ones who make the speeches in the locker room. I think that Jalen's not that guy. Neither Jalen Carter nor Jalen Hurts are sort of those guys to stand up and give speeches. So, but look, when you want to talk about talent, it's overwhelming. And if you want to talk about coaching talent, especially on defense, with Fangio, that's extraordinary. So, all things considered, I'd take that team number one, and I'll take my chances against everybody else. And, there are some other teams that are certainly strong contenders. I think we've seen the Chargers here, and despite their loss to the Giants, play really pretty physical football. Kansas City, is going to be there as long as Mahomes is there, and they get people right. Buffalo is really, really good, obviously. So those are the teams that sort of pop. And then you've got teams like Denver, back there, on the sort of the next level. The 49ers sniffing at the Rams, the Bucks sniffing around. But I do think, Phillies, for the first half of that game against Tampa, they dominated that game. A couple of fluke plays, but they dominated that game. And that was really a talent thing. Now, again, they kind of let it slip away and get close in the second half when, a better team would be putting their foot on the throat of their opponent. But again, that's where I come back to. You got a guy like Jalen Carter, who's just not that guy.
Hey,
You hear that,
Jason,
Drake? You said Jalen Carter's not that guy. Did you hear that?
Hey, helped us win a Super Bowl.
He's that guy. He's that guy physically. Don't get me wrong,
dude. Here's the thing.
He's every bit of that dominant player out of the Warren Sapp.
Ooh,
Sapp.
Like Warren Sapp. Tampa Bay Warren Sapp, not Raiders Warren.
Yeah, not
Sapp.
Raiders.
Okay, let's not do that. Don't do that to Jalen Carter. Okay, but he's every bit of that type of player who can dominate when he wants to, but he can also spit on an opposing player on the first play of the game, and do something really, really stupid that makes you sit there and go, dude, do you understand what this is about?
Yeah.
And that's where his sort of capricious attitude just worries me a little bit. Again, because you don't have a Fletcher Cox who can look at him and go, play to your potential. You're gifted. Play to it. You don't have a deeper defensive line with some of the guys that they lost from last year. So it's a minor thing. It's not. They're the best team in the league, but you can see little holes here and there.
Jason, you know what, man? We're at the point in Philadelphia with the Eagles, as far as I'm concerned. Like you said, teams don't care about the first 4 games. With the Eagles, it's all about what you do in the postseason. You got a tough schedule. You've done great so far, 4-0. we're riding high. We're still high off that Super Bowl. With that being said, I want to switch gears back to the 49ers because I look at their division. I see the Rams 3-1. I see Seattle 3-1. How good are those teams? I was high and still high on the Rams because of how tough they played the Eagles, especially in that first half. Handicap Seattle and the Rams for me in the division.
Well, I mean, Stafford knows how to get you into the right plays all the time, and between him and McVay, they're so on the right page all the time that you essentially have, this incredible merger of a quarterback and a coach, and a quarterback who has extraordinary arm talent still to this day. I mean, he can just do some unreal things and put balls into certain places that there very few humans can. Like Justin Herbert can do that. We saw Herbert a couple of weeks ago with that, when he was going to his left and went cross-body like a shortstop and threw that touchdown pass to Keenan Allen. And that's a beautiful play. Mahomes obviously can do that. Josh Allen can do that. There are very few guys. I mean, Brock Purdy, as much as I love Brock Purdy as a processor and a leader and a guy who's really got his act together, I mean, he can't do that. That's just not what he's capable of, which then takes you to Seattle, and you got Sam Darnold, who, has got, big arm talent, and there are times that he's going to flash it. But if you're asking for a guy who, in a high-pressure situation is going to give the other team the ball, it's Sam and, guys like Tua. Those guys are gonna spit the ball up. Dak Prescott is gonna spit the ball up sometimes, and that's just who they are. That's why they are in the group of very good, and not in the group of superior. So I give the Rams the nod over Seattle in that one. But Seattle's playing hard. They're doing what they're supposed to do. I don't think they played the roughest schedule in the world, but you win the games you're supposed to win, you're okay.
For great football coverage at 33rd Team. That's 33RD Team FB, 33rd Team FB, Jason Cole. Jason, we appreciate your time very much. We hope to talk to you again soon. Thank you very much for your insight.
Hey, Tom, go Stanford. Talk to you later, guys.
All right, Jason. All right. Hey, I'll tell you what, Jason's a little spicy on Twitter, too. I don't know if you've looked at some of his tweets.
He wasn't impressed with the support the Raiders got from their home crowd, I know.
Yeah. He, Giants firing Bob Melvin, he quote tweeted and he said he was average, just like the team he managed.
Yeah.
He's pretty spicy on social media. Check him out. Check him out.
We were